Hello there guys, again this is Alex here, bringing you part 5 of What If Deku Was the Familiar of Zero. So several minutes before we last left off, Louise was very excited after witnessing Kamui Woods in action and started to ask so many questions. She started to ask about the buildings, about the schools. She started to point out the obvious differences between the two worlds, then ask on how many kids are people in this world able to have, because she at the very least wanted to have 5. Which shook Izuku to his core. Izuku saying, "Louise, we're still only 16. We should just enjoy ourselves before settling down. I already told you. Besides, imagine if we did that right after our marriage. It would be a shock to my mother, which is probably at home, worried sick." As Deku starts muttering, and probably gaining a few pounds with her habit of stress eating, or rather depressed eating. As Louise would say, "Izu, you're doing it again." Izuku saying, "Sorry, you know how I am." Louise proudly saying, "Of course I do. I am your wife after all. Oh, where is it that you live? And could you tell me more about your mom on the way?" Izuku just smiled and started to tell Louise a bit about his mother and some things that they did when he was around 3 or 4 years old. They arrived outside of the Midoriya residence. Izuku tells Louise to wait outside for not making his mother have a heart attack or something like that. He got the spare key from where they usually left it, and he opened the door, only to see All Might with what seems to be a detective. They interrupted their discussion. They turned around just to see who it was at the door. Izuku saying, "Oh, Yagi-sensei, why are you here? And is he a detective?" All Might rushed to Izuku, and Izuku, caught up in the moment, just rushed to All Might and somewhat tearing up. But before they could embrace in a hug, All Might in a Small Might form just yelled out, "Smash!" punching Izuku in his face. Izuku holding his cheek. "Oh, Yagi-sensei, what was that for?" Before All Might could say anything, Louise, hearing what was going on, stormed in worried about Izuku, surprising All Might and the detective. Louise saying, "Izu, are you alright?" Izuku saying, "Yeah, I'm fine." All Might saying, "Young Izuku, where in the world were you? We moved mountains and drained the seas, but you were nowhere to be found. And by the way, you have nothing to worry about. You can actually speak freely. He's my friend Naomasa. He knows my secret. But who is this young lady?" Izuku saying, "Oh, yeah, All Might. Her name's Louise, and she's my wife. I tried to get back sooner, but I guess I'm too late for the entrance exams for UA. I'm sorry that I failed you." All Might, visibly confused. "First off, congrats, but aren't you too young to get married yet? In any case, the entrance exams have been postponed to the end of the month." Izuku starts muttering, "End of the month? That's impossible. I mean, could it be? Then that means I can actually go to UA after all." Louise saying, "Izu, you're doing it again." Namasa clearing his throat so he can get attention. "Wow, Toshinori, you casted me aside already, and I thought we were friends." Being sarcastic. All Might saying, "Sorry, Namasa, I got caught up in the moment. I guess there's no need to search anymore, am I right?" Namasa saying, "I think we can finally close the case. I guess it has been going on for 6 months and 3 weeks, but any case, we need to know where you were. We involved the Hero Association and the police force that were available just to find you, and they will demand answers." Izuku was shook to hear that he was only missing for 6 months and 3 weeks, and telling them that for him it was more than a year, and then telling them what happened to him, telling them about magic, and losing them in the explanation, because they did not believe one word after hearing the word magic. Louise, with her short temper and with her magic, she opened a portal to her world, proving them wrong. Now Masa saying, "Okay, but it is going to be a hassle for me to write the report, so I suggest we make an excuse and lie about the whole thing. Anyhow, I will need the both of you to come at my office so we can get this over with. And while we're at it, making her an ID. She will need it one after all. That said, we might as well have keep you being married a secret for now. as well. But I think that telling people that you're engaged wouldn't be any problem, considering there are kids your age that are already engaged by an arranged marriage. So it could work out in your favor. And by our, I really mean yours. And since you're in that world with the considerable difference, with the time difference, you might as well hide that fact concerning your ages. Izuku saying, wow, I never knew people could lie about anything and get away with it. Anyways, now that's been taken care of, partially, I guess. Where's my mother? All Might saying, oh, she went by the grocery store. I believe she will be back soon. Not even the time to finish the sentence, Inko opens the door and walks in with the groceries. When she saw Izuku, she let go of the groceries, making them fall on the floor, and run up to Izuku, hugging him tightly, and crying for her, being overjoyed to see her baby boy. But All Might had anime tears looking at the groceries. All Might saying, no, the poor ex. I was looking forward for dinner. Inko glared at All Might, still hugging Izuku. Namasa saying, Toshi, I think you just ruined the mood. After letting go of her baby boy, she noticed how much he changed. He's a bit taller than in the anime, and more muscular, but not bulky. Izuku, on the other hand, was shocked to see his mother. Izuku saying, Mom, what happened to you? You look 10 years younger and you have lost a lot of weight. What happened while I was away? Inko saying, you see, I worked out, and with All Might's help, not only was I able to lose weight, also strengthening my quirk. He's been staying here for the past 6 months and a half, ever since he disappeared. And one thing went to another. Izuku saying, hold up, one moment. You know that he's All Might? Does that mean that you two are dating? Inko saying, you could say something along those lines, but who might this lovely young lady be? Izuku saying, all right, don't freak out. Her name's Louise and she's my wife. Inko saying, wife? Does that mean I'm a mother-in-law? And does that also mean I can have grandkids? Izuku saying, Mom, don't encourage her. Louise saying very confidently, of course, I told Izuku that I want at least 5 children. Izuku feeling embarrassed, Louise, you're not helping at all. Inko saying, oh my, I like her already. Izuku very confused, say, what about... I mean, aren't you supposed to be at least a bit angry? Inko saying, no, on the contrary, I'm very happy. You see, I'm an only child, so I asked your father if we could at least have 3 kids, but after having you, he was nowhere to be seen. He disappeared from our lives. Nobody knows where he is, but at least I would have a lot of grandkids. Izuku saying, oh, that's why. Great. Mom 2.0. How lucky am I? Inko saying, but with Toshinori here, who knows? All Might laughed nervously, grabbing Izuku and telling the rest that they'll be at Dagobah Beach having a sparring session to see how far he mastered One for All. Naomasa excused himself, and he would tell everyone that he'll be back the next day to follow some reports, leaving Louise with Inko. At the beach, All Might would say, whoa, kid, I never knew. Izuku saying, yeah, if my mom and Louise are anything alike, I can't blame my father for leaving. A voice would say, I don't blame you, partner. I mean, who wouldn't be afraid in your place having 5 kids? All Might visibly confused and looking around. Who said that? Izuku saying, sorry, All Might, I forgot to introduce you to someone. Delph popping up out of his sheath. Hi there, you must be this All Might that my partner has been talking about, and that you gave him that power of his. I must say, putting a face with a name is certainly better than imagining one. My name is Delflinger, or Delph for short. All Might, surprised. Wow, a talking sword. Now I can say I've seen them all. They continued talking for a bit, they having their long-awaited sparring session, which left All Might speechless. After the match that Izuku won, he told All Might that he could use 80% of One for All with no problems. From 81 to 89% fatigue, 90 to 95% he pulls a muscle, up to 100% he will strain his body. Nothing major. On the way back, they have an awkward discussion on their relationship. All Might relationship with his mother, then Izuku started to mention Nana Shimura, All Might's mentor. All Might saying, how do you know that name? Izuku saying, you see, All Might, I actually had visions of the past 8 users of One For All, including you, but you were transparent. The first user told me that I must send his brother and his successor, if he has one, so that both One For All and All For All would cease to exist. And according to him, One For All has already reached the point of singularity, and if I pass it down to someone else, it would be too much for the next user to handle. And even if he would, it might not be a good thing in the long run. The 7th user, she introduced herself as Nana Shimura. I noticed something peculiar. She and my mom look pretty much alike. She also passed down a message for you and for Gran Torino. All Might saying, I see. Don't leave me hanging. I want to know. Scratch that. I need to know. What did she say? Izuku saying, she said that she's proud of you for making your dream a reality, but you were very reckless doing so, and don't make the same mistake she did. All Might tearing up a bit. Thank you, Izuku. I really needed to hear those words. You don't know how much they mean to me. Izuku saying, sure thing. I'm glad that I was able to fulfill Nana's request. Once back, Izuku saw Louise helping his mother, with her preparing the food, which surprised Izuku. Louise embarrassed, well, don't give me that look. Your mom insisted, and she said that this dish will make you happy since it's your favorite. Izuku just smiled at that. Once it was finished, Louise prepared rice curry. They sat at the table so they can start eating, but it was too spicy, making Inko and All Might rush to drink water. Louise, concerned, was it that bad? Inko saying, no, you just added too much spice. Louise looks at Izuku, still eating. Izuku, you don't have to force yourself to eat it. Izuku, still eating. Louise saying, Izuku, it's okay. I know I messed up. You don't have to eat. Izuku finished his plate. Oh, that was pretty good. Izuku got confused looks from everybody. Louise saying, you don't have to lie about it. Come on, just admit it. Izuku chuckling a bit. Louise, I know it's not my mother's cooking. I noticed that it was too spicy, and instead of using salt, you used sugar. The potatoes aren't chopped as they're supposed to, but it's your first time that cooking, and that alone makes me happy enough. Louise was happy about that comment. Later that night, Inko was concerned about sleeping arrangements because Izuku surprised her, and he told her that they've been sleeping together this whole time, and with them being married, it would just be weird if they slept apart. Inko just sighed and telling them to make sure that there's no funny business going around, if they knew what she meant by that. The next day, Naomasa returns to the Midoriya residence and takes Izuku and Louise to his office, with All Might calling in a little favor. They arrived at Naomasa's office. With the help of Naomasa himself, they wrote a credible report, that being, Izuku was teleported somewhere in Europe, and he was captured by a group of thugs. 6 months later, he found an opening and saved a girl that was there as well. With her help, they made their escape, and whatever happened in those 6 months of capture, they do not wish to speak nor dare to mention what happened. With that out of the way, Naomasa was also able to get an ID for Louise. Once back to the Midoriya residence, a lady with blonde hair was talking with Inko. It was none other than Mitsuki Bakugo. Having tea, Mitsuki saying, Izuku, I'm glad that you're back. Your mom filled me in with the details, and I had to see with my own eyes. How are you doing? Izuku saying, everything's going well, Auntie. So how has Kachan been doing lately? Mitsuki saying, well, Katsuki being his usual self, I guess, but after hearing that you went missing, he's been lazy and moody. I told him to come here, so why not surprise him? As she would start winking. Izuku caught on what Mitsuki was saying, and decided to play along, while Louise just joined the two ladies with some tea. When they heard the doorbell ring, Izuku went to his room, while his mother went to open the door, revealing Katsuki, with a blank expression on his face. They chatted a bit, but they could notice something in Katsuki, that being either sadness, regret, or just depressed overall. Once Katsuki was distracted enough, Izuku slowly entered the living room. Izuku saying, it has been a while, hasn't it, Kachan? Katsuki froze and slowly turned around to see who it was. Once he did, it was like he saw a ghost. He would say, "Izuku, you're back." I mean, you damn nerd, you finally decided to show yourself. They all enjoyed themselves, talking. Then Louise, being Louise, she introduced herself as Izuku's wife, and Mitsuki calls his son out for not being very honest with his feelings, which led to some comedy. But unfortunately, Izuku received a text message from All Might saying to bring Louise and to meet him at UA. With that, they had to do. Then they excused themselves and left. Once at UA, All Might brought them to Principal Nezu. As Nezu would say, "So, I guess you're All Might's successor, and she must be your wife. I'm here to ask how everything happened, and where were you in these past 6.5 months?" Izuku explains what actually happened, leaving Nezu speechless. After that, he wanted to see the proof, because he did not believe in magic, which Izuku asked Nezu if he wanted a cup of tea as well, confusing Nezu. Then Louise opened the portal to her world right in front of Izuku's mansion, and the four walked through it. Izuku walking towards the mansion with Louise, followed by All Might and Nezu. Siesta, Saito, and Tifa were startled by the noise of the entrance door opening, checking who it was, but they were shocked to see Izuku and Louise, followed by 2 other people. Izuku introduced them and asked Siesta if she could make some tea. Once the team was ready, Izuku and Louise explained everything to Nezu, and the knowledge of multiverse theory got him hyped. Time skip to the end of the month, on the day of the entrance exam. During this time skip, Nezu actually helped Louise to learn a bit of Japanese culture and the hero society they had, and teaching her overall general things. The entrance exam for UA, they are finally here. Izuku, after losing hope over and over again, he still could not believe his own eyes, and neither could Louise. Izuku took the written exam as per usual. Louise, on the other hand, not knowing how to read or write in Japanese, she had verbal test. She was asked the written questions and she would answer them verbally. She got a score, at least it wasn't the bare minimum. At the explanation of the practical exam, Ida still interrupts President Mike, but Louise calls him out. Louise saying, she doesn't yell angrily at him, she just does it in her tsundere way. "Hey you, there are people that are trying to listen and understand the next exam. Why don't you just shut up a bit and ask questions after he's done explaining?" Which some of the boys also agreed with her, causing Eden to embarrass himself and apologize before sitting down. The practical exam, Izuku, even though Nezu gave him the thumbs up for him to use Delph, Izuku insisted on only relying one for all, and did quite well in the exam. Louise ended up in the same testing rounds as Bakugo, and she doesn't know if he's a good person or not, because for her, he's hard to read, depending if Izuku's around. He acted in a certain way, which reminded Louise of her older sister Eleanor. During her test, she does score well, with her explosions, the speed chant explosion, which are weak, and she uses them to her advantage. Time skip to the first day of UA. During the time skip, Izuku and Louise received their respective acceptance letters. Izuku got first place, beating All Might's record of 200 points by getting 250 points, 180 villain points, and 70 rescue points. Louise got a decent score as well, and she scored 70 points, 45 villain points, and 25 rescue points. As Louise and Izuku, while carrying Delph on his back, are heading to UA, Izuku noticed how excited she was, which she started to mutter. Izuku saying, "Louise, you're muttering." Louise saying, "What? Guess whose fault that is?" Izuku chuckling a bit. "I guess we are alike, but don't sweat the details. Some of the people that were in the exam might be in the same class as us. Oh, before I forget, don't go telling around we are married if they ask." Louise, with the pouty face, I know, we're engaged, but I don't see the point in hiding it." Izuku saying, "Over here it is considered weird to be married and still going to school, so normally people marry after high school, which is around 18 years old, and we are considered 15, so just deal with it for now." After some chatter and Delph chiming in from time to time, they arrived at UA, and they made their way to Class 1A. Side note, Invisible Girl isn't here. She never made it through the exam. Louise takes her place. The same thing will happen with Ida walking up to Izuku and Uraraka, thanking him for saving her by the zero-pointer robot. The key difference, Louise easily gets jealous, especially if they're trying to get too close to Izuku, and she starts to argue with Uraraka until a black-haired man in a sleeping bag makes himself known. As Aizawa, in a bored voice and cracky for lack of sleep, "Shut up, all of you. You're quite annoying, and not to mention loud. Take your seats and listen up." After everyone was seated, he continued, "Good, but it took you too long to settle down. That will not do. This time is precious, especially for those who aspire to become heroes. Before any of you says anything, my name is Shota Aizawa, your homeroom teacher. Get in these PE uniforms and meet me outside. We're having a test." And that's where we're gonna leave it off at this point, guys. In this case, sorry for the delays. Was fixing up a little bit of grammar. Yeah, I know I suck at reading, but still, oh man, too many takes for this one. Already 12 takes. But in this case, currently, don't have anything to add at the end. But in this case, most likely I should be able to upload maybe something today or tomorrow. Besides this one, I'll try to finish it up. The recording, it's because the closet, it's not comfortable. Oh man, my closet's too small for me. But in any case, I do hope you guys liked the video. Again, thank you, Ed, for the script. He's been doing this stuff for 2 series already. And in this case, I might have to do something else. But in regards to that, I do hope you guys liked the video. I'm currently working on some other stuff currently for some other people that have requested me something, but please don't ask me any requests right now. I'm not taking commissions. But in regards to that, I hope you guys have a good day.